Well, welcome to our meeting tonight on the 12th of September, the allotment meeting. Got any apologies tonight? No apologies. Any declaration of interests? The minutes of the last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to read those? I've just got one query about number 4. The minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday, the 22nd of March, 2022. That looks like it was a year between. I looked at the YouTube and it looks like we accepted those on June 14th, 22. Okay, so apart from that amendment, and I propose that that's a true record. That is true. So how do we go about that? Because they can't be actually accepted, can they? Sorry.
There may be a solution, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that if only one person was present, they could be seconded in good faith. And I think it must be noted that we're seconded in good faith. And I'll second them in good faith, yeah.
It's because we're obviously a new committee.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move on. Now we've got a group here which would like to speak. You in the public forum, you only get 15 minutes to talk, and if you could keep it as brief as possible, then that would be fantastic, so that we could know what your problems are.
Before you start, I just want to introduce Leah. She's our new contracts officer, so she will be doing part contracts as well as the allotments as well. So yeah. Okay. And yes, if you press the green, yeah.
Keep your finger on it.
No, you don't need to.
Right, okay. My name's Linda Walker. I've got an allotment at New Oxford Street. It's the one right at the bottom. They changed the numbers. I think it might be 5. It used to be 3.
Okay.
We've got up the back street what was initially one tree growing, and going back about 7 or 8 years, the allotments people came around and looked and they said it needs to come down. Nothing ever happened. So we've now got 7 trees. Right. 2 of them have actually rooted in my neighbour's allotment higher up, right in the corner at the back of the shed. We've got copious amounts of tree roots. I've dug up tree roots this big that come across the allotment. But the more you dig them up, the more sprouting you get elsewhere. I came home from holiday this year I've shown Councillor Mann the photos of all the sproutings of the tree roots. The trees follow the root right across the allotment in all over. The grass, when you walk on it, all you feel is tree roots. So then they're now coming up on the back street, coming through the tarmac. If I didn't pull them up there's about 5 lots a day that I pick up, I pull out. We just end up with a forest on the back street, and it's just getting worse and worse every year. So we're just asking, what can we do about it?
Can I ask that? Can you possibly get those photos to us?
Yeah.
If you maybe email Alex and she can forward them on,
Right.
or if you email Leah, she can give you her email address.
Right, get that off. Yeah.
And then if you can get those for a start.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if the trees are on the back street as well, it's also going to be Pendle Borough Council. So we need to liaise
It could well be an unadopted.
It's unadopted, is that back street?
Is it unadopted?
Right, so
Right.
that's, yeah,
Nobody,
it's
nobody's.
another
that's another problem.
That's
a
probably
big
why
problem.
we've got this issue then. If it's
Yeah.
Adopted then the.
Yeah.
They used it for their own convenience.
Right.
The same thing, you know.
Okay. What I suggest, Leah, is that you go for a visit and then you can see it and then we
Yeah.
can sort
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
what the next move is.
Yeah.
No. So what is there a street name to it? Back of Route, okay.
Yeah. New Oxford Street. Yeah, New Oxford Street.
My own
Back of Rockford, so I don't know.
allotment, number 2, slot number 2, which is adjacent to my sister's allotment.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for
Ah.
that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But we've also.
Our problem is sycamore trees.
We'll come and have a look.
Yeah,
And then
Take
we'll,
it from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so when you do one, you deal with both issues at the same time.
Yeah,
thank
I'll come
you.
have a look, yeah.
That'd be fine, thank
Thank
So if
you.
you all come. About the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, mine are in our allotment too.
Yeah,
Right, so it's in the garden, so every time we're spreading up, I'm just getting trees all
but you've made access to this allotment where these trees are. You actually you've spent a lot of money making access to these allotments at back.
over.
The one at the back end where overlooks mine is just a sea of nettles.
Well, we'll deal with the trees
yeah,
first
uh,
and we'll come for an inspection.
Yeah, that's fine.
Of all your plots.
Mm.
And we'll take it from there.
That's
Yeah,
Okay.
that-
That'd be
Like I
fine.
say,
That's one
if
of
we
my
didn't pick them up, there'd be a forest.
Yeah,
I
I know
what you mean.
trees, it's a natural progression. Like conquest for a lot of training, but,
yeah,
but,
and
but
And
you
nothing
know,
can grow because they're that big in the allotment.
yeah, I think I know where you mean,
Yeah.
where they are
I
now.
know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. I think that some of them are diseased, but not all.
One fell
I'm not
down
asking
the
for them to be cut down and do away with trees, but they could be.
Yeah,
Well,
Lot
thank
of-
you for bringing that
Three
issue
quarters of it.
forward
We
to
we can
us
discuss that.
and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There is.
Right, okay, so there is an additional private item that we will be discussing at the end of the meeting. So the video will go off before the close of the meeting. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. With the back street, it's not good news. If it's an unadopted back street, then the tenants or property owners are responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of that back street. It's that bad that if somebody has an accident on the back street, breaks leg, etc., they cannot sue the local authority, but they can sue the householder of the back street where it's adjacent to. But
The
Yeah.
the trees
trees
that I'm
allotment.
talking about are not, they're not a danger to anybody unless big branches fall off, but I don't think that.
if it's sycamores,
No, these aren't sycamores.
Oh, yeah,
I think they just, they're
if
not-
they're on the back street, there's nothing the council can do. Obviously on the allotments is a different matter.
yeah.
They're in the allotment.
Well,
But
there's
on the
two
actual
in-
back street itself, I'm sorry, but it's the whole householder's responsibility for the upkeep and maintenance of an unadopted back street.
No, they're in the allotment.
Well, I can't chop 7 trees down, can I? So where do I go?
If it's on the back street, then you have to pay for
They're in
it.
allotments all in there, aren't they?
No,
Right.
they're right on the border of
The-
the
the-
allotment, but there are 2 that have rooted in Laura's allotment at the back of the road.
yeah. So it's
We'll come
spreading.
and have a look.
yeah.
and then-
Come, yeah,
Yeah. You-
Okay, I'd like to move on. Thank you very much for
Right.
that. I'm going to move item 9, livestock consent form and policy amendment up now so that the lady at the back can hear our decision about her request for an animal. And I'll hand over to Leah.
My microphone's not working, sorry, but hopefully you can hear me.
I think it is just no light on it.
I think you can hear me anyway, can't you? Yeah, okay. So Vicky is at the stables for Alkin Courts and she wants 6 chickens. So what do you think about that?
Any comments? Yes,
Thank you, Chair. Fantastic news. Brilliant.
Yeah,
More the merrier.
okay.
would you like to propose?
I would be more than happy to propose that.
And Michael, you'll second it, all in favour? You don't get to vote, but I'm glad that you are.
Free range.
Okay, so you can start your chicken collection.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, so we'll go to what was originally item 6. You're quite welcome to stay, or if you wish to leave, then that's no problem.
Yeah, that's fine. Can you just give me your email address?
Yeah, of course, yeah, it's l.berry,
L.Berry.
yeah, at Colne Town Council. .org.uk.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you very
I'll
much.
probably come and see you in the next
Yeah.
couple of days if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go on to update on plot vacancies and waiting lists.
Okay,
I'll hand over to Leah.
let me find my vacancies. Okay, so the vacant plots we've got at the moment are 16x Alkin Courts, which is the ground that's can't really be grown on. Somebody used it a couple of years ago for the peppercorn ground rent, but at the moment it's empty. There's been a suggestion to use it for a polytunnel, corn in bloom, storing things, whatever kind of is needed that year.
I heard that the polytunnel was actually ordered. Is that not the case?
No idea.
No.
We've never received a polytunnel if it was ordered, so I would think that maybe we never managed to out.
Yeah,
So,
but if that's
if you
what you're
let
interested
me
in.
know what size you want, etc., and then we can get on board with that.
We are having a Cone in Bloom meeting next week, so perhaps we can delay that until we speak to the members of the committee to see whether they would think it was a good idea or what
Yeah.
sort of size
Yeah.
they'd like.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that,
We're talking about just using this for storage, that kind of thing. We're not talking about growing.
There was the suggestion to grow flowers in the polytunnel.
In the poly.
In the,
poly-
yeah,
in the poly.
yeah. If that's what the corn and bloom would need or want.
Yeah.
Then
So
if
it's-
not, it could just be storage.
yeah,
Yeah.
something to discuss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be a suitable site for the skip? The skip that is often at Sutherland Street.
Maybe not, because the access up to 16x isn't very good. I don't think a truck could get up there to deliver it. Unless you think it could.
Like,
Yeah.
The only reason I'm saying this
Yeah.
is that obviously we are getting complaints about the skip that is situated right across the road from residents
Yeah.
of Sutherland Street. And if we can find somewhere that's not overlooked.
Yeah.
then I think that would be a good solution to that problem.
Yeah. I don't really know.
So perhaps we
That's
could
a-
investigate that.
Yeah, we could look into it, yeah. Next one down is broken banks. There's a couple on there that are really overgrown at the back and it's turned into a woodlands really. So number 4 is the only one on there that's officially vacant, but more like 3 plots look vacant because of how overgrown they are. So we had unique quote 4,000 to clear it, but there's no chance that's going to happen. So I don't really have any other suggestions for number 4. I don't know if you've been down to it recently.
I think, yes,
Thank you, Chair. I keep changing the name of the people. The sort of youth, the offenders program or something. No, because I know you know that.
yeah, I know who you mean, yes.
Because at the Wamish Wildlife and Nature Reserve, the cabin there, that's going to be repainted, etc. by this team. So maybe getting involved with them, or maybe Princess Trust as a group project to clear the site.
That's a very good idea. Yeah.
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 Agreed, yeah.
In that way, because they won't charge anything.
Yeah,
far
that's
as I'm
good.
aware.
Yeah, or else it'll just get worse and
Yeah.
it'll get too far gone. 1B Basil Street, that came back to us last week because I sent them a letter. It's a bit overgrown, but I'm probably going to get the lensman to have a look at that. It's nothing too major. It's the raised beds are just really overgrown, and that's it really. Carrie Lane, I went to Carrie Lane yesterday and met a few of the plot holders. 11 is a really, really big plot on the steepest bit of Carrie Lane. The plan's to just see how much it grows back in winter and see what I can tackle from there. The back end of number 11 has been used as a skip and dumping ground for the house next to number 11 has built an extension, so they've used ours as a dumping ground basically. So half of it I'm hoping can die back and can be cleared, but the other half is probably about 10 foot high in rubble.
Is there a wall between this extension and our?
No,
Is it open?
it's open, yeah. There's
So-
a barbed wire fence probably about that high, and then the grey brick of the new extension on the back of the house.
Can we prove that they have dumped?
The plot holders said they have, but concrete evidence probably not.
Yes.
Yeah. If somebody has actually witnessed it,
Yeah.
and is prepared to stand forward, then I would propose that we build the person responsible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we just turn a blind eye, it's going to continue on.
Yeah.
You know. So I
Yeah,
think
you're
we need
right.
To take, to put down and go, no, this is unacceptable.
Yeah,
We've got witnesses. You are going to shift it at your expense.
yeah, I think they probably will, because one of them's Barry Rainbow, the
Oh,
outspoken
yes.
Barry, so I think he probably would. Saying that's
Also,
happened.
Chair, on that one there, I'm sorry, I'm not to do it. I am fed up of people using the word weeds. I find that very, very offensive.
Go on, what should I have used?
Yes, there is no such thing as a weed.
Plant in the wrong place,
Yeah.
yeah.
There is no such thing as weeds. Nettles are nutritionally and medically very valuable. They
That's
are
true.
not weeds. Dandelions and medicinal, they are not weeds.
That's true.
So perhaps we just need to say overgrown.
Overgrown with plants, yeah. 2B Knots Lane, I don't know a lot about that. I think there was some complaints going a few years ago with the lady who has next door to 2 Knots Lane. She's effectively built a garage on our access point. I think you might know about this.
Yeah, I do know about this.
Yeah.
Yes, and the problem is that there were people that lived very close to that little area wish to have that as an allotment plot.
Yeah.
But now it's just become, well, it's a dumping ground, and that's an issue, but it can't really be rented out because it is an access point.
Exactly,
Or
yeah.
should be.
Yeah, so whether
Um,
that just gets voided maybe, because it'll just stay on the list forever.
So who's put the?
It's an
you
allotment
know.
holder that has had it for a long time.
Right, so is she currently paying a lot?
Yeah,
She is,
I think she's had it since the 80s, is it 90s?
that's right. Yes.
Yeah, that was partly why you're having to buy that land on South Valley for access,
Ah, right.
because
yeah,
actual access has been blocked. New Oxford Street. So it's a bit of a funny one, this one. I think Eugene last year had advocated for the bottom 3 plots to be taken off 3 homeowners who lived on the back of New Oxford Street. They were using it as an extended garden. So Eugene's had some high fencing put on and these plots split up, but they've never been rented out. So that lady was saying the ones that are full of nettles, that's the one she was referring to. So it's really overgrown, but you also can't actually get to these plots, really. So you go, if you come from the back alley, you're going into, I should have brought a map, number 4 is kind of like at the top. And then you go down to his nieces, which is number 5. And then 7, 8 and 9 are on the back of his nieces. But his niece has got raised beds all over the floor, which you can't step over. And there's no other way to get to these bottom 3 plots. So I don't know. I think it was a lot of money to sort it out because Unique did it, but they can't be used really.
Okay, so perhaps we need to have a visit there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was actually going to suggest to, because obviously Allotments are new to this, and to, with some of these, I know the allotments on the South Valley. I haven't got a clue on the North Valley. So a site visit would be very, very useful, so we can actually have a view of these.
Yeah. I didn't really understand until I went to them. The New Oxford Street, they use them as extended gardens, but it's like a communal plot. It's basically one huge plot that they all use.
Because I think that's the other issue as well, because
Yeah.
an allotment cannot be used as a garden.
Yeah.
As the ancient rules
You're right.
say that it's 75% must be cultivation of vegetables and fruit.
Yeah, a couple of them on there. The lady who was talking about her number 5, hers is full of growing. The guy who I went into number 4, his is, but everyone else's is a garden really. So it might be worth a look at the whole New Oxford Street really.
I mean, the Not Slain one, because the residents have had them so long.
Yeah.
I think it's now getting on the way.
Yeah, and it's also hard to get an inspection down there.
Yeah.
Because I went down when I was renting out another one on South Valley, and they've been very obviously cordoned off so we can never get to them. So it's kind of hard to really get down there and have a look as well.
But surely if they do belong to us, we should
Yeah,
make
absolutely.
that effort.
Yeah.
and they should just take.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're gonna have to go through their house to get to it.
It's that one.
Do you know which one I mean now?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do know.
So I can't really.
No, I mean, there are certain ones that will be impossible because basically they're almost like their back gardens.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we took them on,
No.
really.
Well, I think we actually took them on. I think they were just, the management just transferred everything Pendle gave us.
Yeah.
Would it be something that they might want to, I don't know whether we can offer them to them for a purchase.
We could suggest, selling them up too.
Yeah.
Have a look at that. Doing that.
Obviously, that would reduce our allotment plots, and we might,
Yeah.
and we might be like saying we're reducing allotments rather than promoting allotments. But
But
Yeah.
then again, if they're like someone else's back garden.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
you never really get
No.
personally,
They've been using it for their back garden all this time.
For decades.
They've
Yeah.
struggled to.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a lot of people on the list for Knots Lane, but they're probably never gonna get a plot on there because until the people die and effectively houses sell, they're never gonna become empty.
Also, when they come to sell the house, it might be a problem. So who owns that bit of garden anyway?
Yeah, it might just get looked over.
So
Mm.
Well, on Knott's Lane, you can get access.
Yeah.
On the back street, so that's not a problem.
No,
So anybody could take on one of those allotments.
yeah,
But there are, I think this one, you have to go through their house.
yes,
In order to get to it.
yeah,
So I
I
think
think this one-
personally, with this one, we ask for the solicitor's advice.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Is everybody in agreement?
Yeah, and the last one is 6 River Street. River Street on a whole is a little bit of a problem on the right hand side. I've been down with Alice and Gina. Number 6 is just totally inaccessible. It's not fenced off and it's kind of over a very steep ravine that's never really going to be used. So I don't know what you think about possibly just voiding that, but yeah.
Thank you again. It's just the bottom of River Street facing upwards.
Yes.
The council took over quite a few years ago. It belonged to the cooperative, I believe, all that stretch.
Yeah.
And they took it on in addition to the Sutherland Street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could we have a side visit on this one? Because
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think there is a way around this by using terracing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can actually put terracing in to make it accessible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done in other areas.
Yeah. The left hand side of River Street is fine. There's been 2 new plot holders on there. That's pretty flat. The right hand side, there's 3 plots that are just really, really steep and unsafe. So a lot of the people aren't using them. So
I think a side visit and looking at.
yeah, I would.
Not putting terracing in.
Yeah.
Again, we could use some of our, I don't know if it's still going to depend on the environmental action group. You know, groups like that. There's also the British Trust for Conservation Volunteers. as
I
well.
think if you go and have a look, you will see the extent of the problem.
That's what
So
side visit.
let's have a site visit
Yeah.
first, because in
You-
my view,
Mass clearance.
Yeah.
it is beyond. But, and I would say, let the wildlife enjoy it. But that's just my view, but let's, yeah.
Kendall and also wanted to transfer River Street to us. Reluctant to say yes, because I don't think it'll work for a lot.
There are a couple
There's 2, I
that
think.
look like
Yeah.
they've had a lot of work done to it.
Yeah.
The one
The
that's
left
not
side. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would be sad to lose all of them, but there's certainly some that
It's
I
just,
know.
Ken, you can't take part of the one. So it.
Well, given that they have been so long in actually sorting this issue out, I can't see them really.
Well, they are pushing at the moment to
Ah.
try and get it sorted.
Well, perhaps we can slow them down now. Did you want to? No.
There- Yeah, Sutherland Street as well is another issue. You cannot see, it's that on ground, it's just now. Problem is, not in the allotment area. You don't use the service of the allotment, you can't, because of leaf knowledge. And it costs too much in monitoring, etc. But Pendle is the reluctant to do it. Well, the thing is, if it fails, it's just.
So we're saying that we want to get rid of that tank. Well, Pendle need to get rid of the tank.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I've always said that it should have water. However, there's so
How hard we
many.
go about trying to get a proper water supply in there.
Yeah.
Rely on it.
Yeah. However, I don't think many people on there are using butts, and I don't.
Right, so there is that,
There is that option that.
although it is quite. steep as well.
There's not really any structures to collect water
Yeah.
from. So it's a bit of a funny one, that side. It's a constant problem, really.
But there is our plot, which we tend to put a
Skip on.
skip
Yeah.
on. And I really want to emphasize the fact that we need to find a different place for that skip. Because every time I see the gentleman that lives opposite, he asks why it's not being moved. So yeah, we could perhaps do something on that site
Yeah,
on with the structure.
Yeah.
To collect more water for them, but options.
yeah, it'll be a work in progress, that one, I think, won't it? Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think?
On that one option, if it's not being used for anything, is to build a shelter. And then you put guttering on the edges to a water boat, so you're collecting the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah,
That's a good, that way it's also, because it's an open site. And if it starts lashing down and you're halfway through digging, you've no shelter. So having a shelter like that, and it might encourage maybe in the evening, especially on a summer evening, for a bit of a communal gathering for the plot holders.
Yeah, I think that'd be something to really consider.
And it'd be a cheap option as well, using recycled wood, etc. Fairly cheap.
yeah, okay. Changes to the waiting list since I've started. I've taken a few people off. So Naomi's come off, who used to be the town clerk. She doesn't want to pick a plot anymore. Liam Davis, he's moved. Eugene has now got plot 1 on Alkin Courts. So he had been on the list since 2017, but he'd missed himself out purposely until he'd left, and then he got it.
Brilliant.
So he's happy with that. He's made massive changes on that already, to be fair to him. So he's done a good job. Alyssa is someone who's not responded to reinstating her application, so she's come off. Emma Courtney was Eugene's daughter, which I didn't know, but found out, so she was happy to come off it. Cherie was, Cherie, yeah.
Yes.
She's now got 2B River Street. That was cleared last week, which she's happy about. She might be thinking of terminating it already because her health has deteriorated. So I've said to give it a couple of months and then catch up with me again, just so it doesn't get too overgrown, because Spud did a lot of hard work on it, getting it nice again. David got an empty plot up South Valley. Keely got to a Temple Street, which was a really overgrown one. She's doing all the work herself. She's got a disabled son, so she's got a lot of funding from the council to help her move it all. Samantha got the other one on Temple Street next door to Bill, and Jason got another one on Sutherland Street behind the skip, that really overgrown one. And Gareth cleared that for us.
We've got quite a lot of newbies here.
Yes.
I just wondered whether we should just keep an eye on them a little
Yeah.
bit more and give them more support for the first 6 weeks.
Mhm.
Because I've already had a comment about one of the people here.
Is it Samantha
Yeah.
from Bill?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just want to see whether we can give them more support.
Yeah.
Or say, right, you've tried it for a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, perhaps it's not what you thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
and would you like to return it?
Yeah, I'm keen on 3B because we spent a lot of money on getting that cleared by Unique.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure she's not going to let it overgrow and we have to pay for it again.
Yeah.
So I sent her a message last week just saying, is everything okay? And if not, let me know, kind of thing. She's not replied.
So we need to be a little bit proactive about it.
Yeah, because I don't want
There's
that
no
money to go down
yeah,
the drain.
There's no point in clearing and then. it just-
No, she was on there every day, Bill said, for a week, and then she's kind of disappeared. So I don't know what's gone on there.
And that can happen
Yeah,
because you put everything into it and then you realise there's an awful lot
Yeah.
of work.
yeah, and especially when Bill's your neighbour and he's got such high standards. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he's scared her off a little bit.
Uh,
The back page is just the up-to-date waiting list. So everyone on there, as I've spoke to in the past 6 weeks, and they're all wanting to stay on there. So there's no one unhappy on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I looked on the back page.
Oh yeah,
Is this some kind of secret code?
well, we've got a new system called Realta, so that's just an exported spreadsheet. So I don't really use that, so it does look
Because-
confusing. There's
Yeah.
loads of yeses and nos.
I
and-
told you so, it's like across the top, It's a secret language,
Eh.
MSC, you know.
No, Alkin Court's, Knots Lane, South Valley, they're the initial,
Yeah, I
yeah,
Giving the
yeah.
councillors a key, because we have trouble understanding English. Stuff,
Yeah.
right? It's not like this, is, you know,
Yeah,
they have
no,
no capability.
yeah, they're all the plots, but the Realtas, what I see is that, but posher. It's just an exported spread. It's the only way I could get this to the meeting.
Yeah, what does A stand for? Yes,
Alkin
Alkin
Courts.
Alkin Court.
Yeah,
The thing is that we know the names of the plots, obviously new members, they don't.
that's true.
So
yeah.
you know that BS is.
We
That's
know what
Basil
BS
Street.
stands for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I shouldn't have chosen that one.
No.
Right, okay, so is that everything about?
That's it
that-
on that one.
That,
Yeah.
that item. So we'll move on to allotment allocation policy amendment.
Yeah, this is one that Eugene had drafted ready for the June meeting, which never went ahead. So I've just opened it up and kind of agreed with what he said. I think the only thing, right, it should have been in red, but it's not for some reason. It's number 5, which is, no, sorry, it's number, hang on, what am I on now? We're on allotment allocation policy.
Right.
Yeah, it's number 8, that it should be in red, but for some reason it's not, so this might lead on to Gina's a little bit later on. But there wasn't anything to support an appeals procedure in the policy, so Eugene added this in. I've made a few spell check amendments and words, but that's to be looked over and agreed.
I actually read this and I was quite happy with the document. I just
Yeah.
wanted to just make everybody aware that we had changed something quite a while back about saying that nobody outside the boundary could apply for allotments because we haven't got anybody at the moment. Is that something we still want? Or is it going to cause an issue if we haven't got a large waiting list? Or
I was under the impression that you could apply, but the residents get priority.
Yeah, I thought that.
is that what it actually
I don't know.
says though?
It's, I think it says it somewhere. Let's try and find it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
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 That's what it used to be, and I was quite happy with that. And then I think we were talking at one of the meetings about removing them from the list completely, but
It's not in here.
No,
Whether
well, that's-
Eugene forgot to add it in, if you'd
well, that's all right
agreed
then.
it. Yeah,
If it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. This is just what was
Yeah.
ready for your June meeting. There's a big waiting
Yeah,
list.
They,
Yeah.
they don't get a chance anyway.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think there's a lady on there called Justina who's been on since 2017, but she's probably never going to get a plot at this rate because she lives in Nelson.
It might just become an issue if somebody who's been on our allotment waiting list for a long time and then moves out of the area.
Yeah,
Unless we allow them to be on the waiting list, then they'd have to.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, on that one, if somebody's been on the waiting list for say 30 years, waiting for a corner allotment, and they do eventually move to Nelson, could it be possible then to transfer that to a Nelson waiting list? In retrospect, you know. To give a priority
I
on
don't
Nelson,
think
I think
we
they would have
could.
to apply.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because
so we
we've
don't-
not got any
you know.
authority over that.
You know, what I'm saying is because I know we're part of Pendle, and sometimes we seem to act as though we're working in total isolation to the rest of humanity. And there should be some reciprocal agreement between various, you know, town councils within Pendle to make this easier. The other issue as well, if it's somebody in Nelson, they may have a relative in Col who is not capable of taking it on themselves, so they could apply for allotment living in Nelson for Col, so they could, so that could be a problem. But I do agree that it should be, priority should be given to people residing within the Col town boundaries.
Yeah, so that was the only thing in here that wanted adding, and if you were happy with how it was worded.
Everybody's happy? Yeah, do we need a proposer? And second,
Is everybody happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great.
right, we had a proposer, that was Michael, and seconder, and we're all in favour. It's a change of policy.
Yep, so that can be uploaded to the website tomorrow.
So now we're on to allotment agreement amendments.
Yeah, I didn't think anything needed doing, but if you have any suggestions that needed adding in. I've read through it a few times and I can't really find anything that was major.
Yeah, was everybody okay? Yeah. I just start the one that says number 5, that the council by its servants or agents shall have the right at all reasonable times to enter upon and view the condition of the plots. Now, I know when we've had inspections, there are quite a lot of plots that you can't get into, and usually it's never been able to get into, and you end up having to take photos over walls or through cracks. And to be fair, I don't think that is fair, because certain places you can just walk in, you can do your inspection really well, and others, because you can't see, don't get inspected. And so they never get, they could have goodness knows what behind their fences. So I think that it's something that perhaps you need to make sure you've got a key to all allotments.
The major one that we can't really get into is one on Car Road. Eugene said we took them over, but they are actually being used as gardens with no access whatsoever, only through houses. So
if they're through houses, then that's fine. But there's some that are not just through houses.
no, there's a few on. I went to Carry Lane, and luckily Barry was on and Bill and someone else, and they let me into the very back ones. But if they weren't there, I wouldn't be able to get in, because they put their own gates and like triple locked it. So,
and I think that if they're going to do that, that's fine. But I think you need to
have
the ability to get in.
Agreed.
Thank you, Chair. On it's section 4.3. I've never ever been happy with the wording. It comes under the Allotments Act 1922 and that, when it says wholly or mainly cultivated for the production of vegetable or fruit crops. I'm not happy with that definition. It can cause a lot of controversy. If you've got somebody who's got, say, a plot, maybe on Sutherland Street, and half it's full of dandelions or half it's nettles, is that person in violation of that agreement? Because it is a vegetable, it is used for medicinal purposes, it is being cultivated, but if you look at the wording,
you're right.
is that person going to be then sort of persecuted for doing something which is a benefit to their health? But it's not in agreement with something written in 1922.
Personally, no. I think I only send out the cultivation letters if they're really overgrown and they've got rubbish in and it's very obviously not used. If it was a well-kept dandelion patch, then I wouldn't see a problem with it. Personally.
But I know allotment holders from experience. In case one awkward allotment holder who's been there since 1800 and broken to death, who doesn't like the,
I know what you mean.
insist that the agreement be kept to. I think we need to make representation wherever necessary that this is outdated. 1922, it should be updated.
Yeah, but we're not in a position to update the lot.
No, but what we can do is make representation and put this, that it should be, amended to keep in keeping with them, with the, the way we are today as opposed to then. Something like the cultivation of medicinal and nutritional plants. I think that wording would be far more than just fruit and veg.
Okay. So that's that. So we've done livestock and allotment updates.
Okay. Sorry, I'll try and fly through this as quick as I can because there's been quite a lot since I started.
Sorry, were we in agreement with the last?
Oh, yes, yes, sorry. Did we need somebody to propose those? Yes.
When we say livestock, if somebody wanted to keep a goat on an allotment, but isn't that then livestock?
We have a livestock policy, and we've actually stated in that livestock policy that we'll only accept hens and bees on our allotments. And for those who've already got livestock that perhaps in the past they've had, then like pigeons and geese, they can apply to the council, to the committee, and then we can make a decision on that. But anybody new wanting animals, that's the only thing that they can apply for. They must have had the allotment for at least a year and kept it, and show that they will be able to look after those chickens and bees correctly. It is in the livestock policy, the conditions. So we as a group have decided that because certain allotments just do not, they're not suitable for animals.
What if an allotment was? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, when like tonight, somebody came and wanted to have a certain 6 chickens, so they came and they asked for that, and we as a group discussed it and said yes. Somebody else might come along and ask for a horse or a goat, and we could discuss that. But according to our policy at the moment, we could not agree.
Then surely at some point, can we not put this under review? The chief would actually
If
change
you
his
want
policy.
to
I would propose
review that,
I would like that to happen.
Yeah.
Because I think at the moment, you're right. It shouldn't be an automatic. You can apply. It should be brought through, and then it should be. Have you got the experience? Is the plot suitable? If it is, then I don't think we should be denied that.
well, we'll put that on to the next agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, so the general updates, we've gone through the New Oxford Street. Everything on there is in really, really nice condition, mainly because everybody shares it. Just the plot issues at the bottom. Sutherland Street, that's got the new plot holder on it. I've sent 2 letters out to a couple of plots on there because they're really overgrown, shared site. So the only one who replied to me has been plot 9, who was 9 months in arrears. So I had to chase that up a lot to get that paid for. That's totally uncultivated. I don't know if that's the one at the back that me and you went to.
So they haven't paid.
No, it had not been chased up.
They also are not cultivating,
No,
so they've been served.
it's been paid now. And I said they have.
So
So payment was made 5th September. I said she had a month from that date to make a difference. If not, then serve a notice on that, definitely.
I suppose we wanted the arrears, didn't we? So
Yeah,
yeah, that's.
and it got paid.
Yeah. Do we have a policy of when they need to pay? And if they don't pay, we can start formal.
Yeah, it's 40 days. which
40K.
she was well over, but
Yeah,
once changed, she paid it.
so that can be chased in the future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I said next time, when we send the new invoice, it's no tolerance after 40 days, especially if that's just happened. Another person replied who was plot 1 at the front, who said he'd get on with sorting it out. He'd just not had time to do it over the summer. River Street, we've spoken about 2 new plot holders on there. One was Cherie. Another one was a guy called Daniel, who was under Cherie. He took over 3A, which was really overgrown, but he's sorted that out in a couple of weeks, really. Temple Street, I spoke about, that's the lady with the disabled son, and then next door to Bill. Intake, all the plots are okay apart from Barry's. I don't know a lot about Barry, but I think it's been discussed at quite a lot of meetings. He's got 4 really big plots. He's got geese on there, which he doesn't have consent for, and he lets them graze on the playing fields, and they're often attacked by dogs, and his geese attack dogs as well. So I went on there with Eugene and had a word. So I don't know what you'd like to do, really, moving forward.
I would propose that action be taken against him. If he's been warned in the past, it's a continuing nuisance, then I would propose action taken against that person.
Yeah.
You know, because he's obviously keeping livestock without consent.
Yeah.
That's one issue, and I think he should be told that he needs to come to the committee and gain consent.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously, if he's causing a nuisance, then I think he needs to be given a formal warning that if it continues, maybe 21 days or 40 days or whatever,
yeah,
then he's off the site. End of story.
yeah. He's got a lot of pigeon loss on there. They're all okay. He has consent for them, I believe.
Tasty pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's no growing on there whatsoever. It's
I
just,
mean, has one of the things we've suggested in the past is
Yeah.
that he gives up some of that land.
yeah,
He's got a lot of land there that is not being cultivated,
yeah,
and we have a policy that they're only supposed to have 1 plot. Obviously, this is historical.
Yeah.
So we could
Can we not look at when we give consent?
conditional
That if
to
you
keep these
release
these
your
ge-
land
the-
or-
oh, these geese. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that would perhaps be the way.
Yeah.
Yes,
Assuming
because
we-
I'm sure he wants to keep those geese.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm saying, presuming when he took with this allotment, they do sign this contract, so he's in breach of contract.
he is in breach of contract.
yeah, yeah. He has the geese to protect his pigeons. Understandable, but
Yeah. Jake, could I propose that it be brought in front of the committee in the next meeting? That we can actually discuss this with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
invite him.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think he'd come. Yeah,
That way, it's because it's easy discussing somebody when they're not present, but we
Yeah.
need to find his side of the story.
yeah.
What's the legal thing about them being on the public green?
They're not allowed.
So
No.
if they are there, what, whose land is that?
King George.
Kendall's.
Yeah,
And what do they do with something like this? Do they fine? Yeah, I am aware that it is, but should they do fines or do
I suppose we could find,
environmental visit?
we could, yeah.
yeah,
could
probably
ask
would. Yeah.
Environmental health.
I think that
to
that
visit
might be. good,
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Because
yeah.
then we could also see whether those geese are being housed.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
grazing on the grass because
They're hungry.
yeah, there's no grass on site.
We can-
Yeah, 1 inch. So,
So we'll action that, yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah. Basil Street is one that I can discuss a little bit later on, or now. No, yeah, okay. There's a lady on there called Lucy who's elderly and she has somebody helping her go down there to do, she's only got a very tiny plot. It literally has 2 standing raised beds and that's it. She's I do agree with her. I went down when it was raining and the access path is just one slanted concrete slab and it's really slippy. So she has asked if we could put a step halfway down this path just to level it a little bit so she could get a balance. So I don't know to what extent you think.
How much is that going to?
I would say for a start off though, we have our pressure washer was broken, but we have had it fixed, which should be returned. So I would suggest that when we go through power washing first to try and
Yeah.
get rid of slipping and see if that has any effect on it. At least alleviate it for a while until we can. But it's an internal pathway, so
Yeah, I
the
know.
plot holder is responsible for
Yeah,
whether it would go halves on the cost. I don't know.
yeah, could suggest, yeah.
Yeah, because there's another allotment, which is, I can't remember what group it runs it, at the bottom of Walton Street. There's an allotment there, it's,
Oh, yes.
yeah, right at the very bottom. They, from what I can gather, they've
That's
got
Basil
quite a
Street.
good team there.
Basil
Basil
Street,
Street.
yeah,
That's, yeah, Basil, yeah, because it's, there's Basil Street allotment,
yeah,
and then there's another allotment,
That's
Yeah.
Holt House.
Alter,
Yeah,
I think
it
that's
used to,
Pendle.
it used to be Bank, sorry, not Holt House, Bank House.
yeah,
Behind,
that's right.
Yeah. and it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, the volunteers there, maybe asking them if they'd like to help out to deal with that path,
Yeah.
Could do.
you know, because if they're able-bodied, they want something to do, and then it would be a really good way for them to sort of, because a lot of them have got mental health issues, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that would be really good for their own self-esteem and give them that sense of pride that they've just helped other people.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, definitely, yeah. So one of the plotters come back following a non-cultivation letter. The other two plots that I sent out, I met both of them on site. They just said they were busy over summer. One had got married, one had been travelling, so they were both gonna pick that up. The lady at the end though had a couple of safety concerns, which I do agree with also. It used to be the end plot on Basil Street, which is, I can't think what it is, 1C, I think it is. Used to have a greenhouse on the flat part. The greenhouse has been removed, but the fencing was never put back up.
And is that the perimeter fence
No, it's
internal?
internal, but I suppose it probably is a perimeter fence because there's about a 5-foot drop below it. So if you lose your footing, you'll fall down. So I essentially said I'm not very happy with how it's being kept, but it's because you can't go down there because you're scared of falling off.
So perhaps another visit to
Basil Street, I'd say so,
because
yeah.
There seems to be a few issues there.
Yeah, there might be an issue with subsidence as well. Similar to River Street where it's pretty steep, even though it's tiered. A couple of the wooden raised beds that have been built have rotted away and started to slip. So, bad on that. Yeah.
Groundworks, yeah.
Yeah,
And did they do all that decking then?
yeah. The bottom of Basil Street is really nice, the one that Naomi has, and then next door, it's just the top is a little bit rotten and unloved. Yeah, I think I might know something.
They did, when, I forgot her name, but she was very, very proactive. But unfortunately with national curriculum, they just couldn't afford the time that it took to get the children there and get them back, which was such a shame. But, yeah.
No, I think we should be, for a lot of us, because school, I think we really do need someone which into school, because teaching children the value of growing stuff, I think it's far more important teaching kids to like a future.
Yeah, true. There was a few on the back as well, but I can quickly run through them. Carrie Lane, 4 plots look abandoned. None of the holders have come back to me, so it might be time to serve notice on them. Plot 11's the empty one. 3B came back vacant yesterday. That got given back. Broken Banks, we know about. Granville Street, a lady uses that as a garden. I'd kindly reminded her to start growing on there because she's kind of in breach of her contract. She was another one who was 9 months in arrears. But it got there.
You could just suggest grow fruit trees.
I said, yeah, anything. Yeah, she did take it on board, to be honest. Yeah, and some dandelions. South Valley was a big plot that got taken over by a landscape gardener. That had been one that had been empty for 7-8 years, but he's taken over that now. And then the ones at the bottom I've not inspected yet. So yeah, that's the updates.
So the next, thank you. Lots of hard work there. Thanks. Inspection timetable.
Yeah, I've attached that. So Car Road is the one that's only accessible through houses. I can't be 100% I'm going to get in there, but I've left them all messages asking them to get back to me. White Grove and Bunkers Hill, they're ones that I don't really know a lot about them. Bunkers Hill, it's a guy who's got 7 plots on there. So I don't know if it's historical or.
Basically, I don't think really we worry about Bunkers Hill.
I thought
because,
that.
Yeah, I think you might know a little bit more about Bunkers Hill and the council, the Pendle Council's idea
one
about
I was on, yeah.
housing.
I'm
Yes.
trying not to twitch on this one. I remember it only too well, and I'm still in therapy. It is a nightmare because a lot of the residents want it to be brought, kept it as thing. But Pendle Council, being the loving, kind people they are, said, no, we're more interested in making money and building unwanted houses where people don't want them than giving you allotments. Somebody had a donkey on us, it was a complete and total nightmare. And I think this does need to be sorted. It is an allotment. We should not allow Pendle to destroy those allotments just to make a bit of money. It's totally wrong.
Well, at the
They're not
moment,
contaminated.
I have a feeling it's contaminated, but I'm not sure. I know we've gone into it in the past and hit a brick wall. And I think it's one person that, do we get any rate? Yeah, from one person.
Yeah, from one person. Yeah.
And so they own the whole
Yeah.
lot, the plots, because obviously historically.
Historically, it's been
Yeah.
one family that's
Yeah,
run it for
yeah.
about the last 100 years or so.
We've never inspected
No, I
it.
thought that. They'd
Never
have a question
inspected
mark over it.
And Pendle has earmarked it for housing.
All right, okay.
So
Just leave. it.
basically, I would just plug
Yeah.
that one.
I will say as well with the land transfer.
Right,
That's
okay.
fair enough.
That's that. Montague Street, I'll get onto that. Cookhouse is another one that's got limited access with keys because some holders have changed the locks. Knott's Lane, we've discussed a lot of them you can't get into. South Valley, I can go up and do that. I've been up there a few times. Alkin Courts as well, it's probably going to take me a day to do because there's so much up there. And Highgarth, Sue's a slight red herring on it. Yeah, Susan Hogg. It's a lady, do you know that, Susan?
Yes.
Yeah, we've tried to get in there a few times. Lensman have been kindly sent away, which we've said can't happen.
No.
So they're gonna have to go in there and make a difference pretty soon because
I
I
mean,
did have a meeting with her. She did agree, to let us help her. But.
yeah, Spud and Gareth got sent.
well, it will be in breach of their contract.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've got to have reasonable
Mhm.
access. So at the end of the day, if she's not keeping the allotment site neat and tidy, well, not neat and tidy, but cultivated, then we've got to allow somebody else to do it.
Yeah, if she won't allow. else to do it.
Yeah, so that's a problem that's kind of ongoing. So we'll get there with that one.
Which is the site? Burton site.
That's Carolyn.
That's Caroline.
Yeah. That's what I went to yesterday.
Yeah, because they were having problems, weren't they, with rubbish?
That's what it is.
That's what
At
it
the
is,
back of
yeah.
plot 11. Yeah.
So that's all that we're on.
Yeah.
So that's all being dealt with. then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so. Livestock consents.
I've sent a letter to all the plot holders that currently have livestock. Only 2 have replied, so the other ones are going to get an inspection from to see if they've got the livestock and if they're looking for it.
Yeah.
But only 2 came back, and that was it out of 10 letters sent.
And particularly if they've got hens for the correct feeders,
Yes.
because we do have rat problems.
Yeah, and possibly we've had some bird flu updates come through. It's pretty close by to us now. It's in Cheshire, so in
Okay.
the next few weeks we might be sending them letters out.
Can you mention that to the people that got the hens?
Yeah, that's at Briarfield.
We
That's,
haven't had any vision to it yet,
no,
but obviously.
I think this is another issue because the one that's Briarfield is a tricky one. Because the land is owned by Pendle District Council, the bottom part of the allotment is owned by Pendle District Council. I think the very top part is owned by Lancashire County Council, but the allotments were gifted to the people of Briarfield in 1800 and something. And that's caused a big issue with Briarfield Town Council.
Yeah.
But any information on this level will not be passed on to the allotment holders because they are not part of the council.
Yeah,
And I think we need to make all allotment holders aware, even private ones, of any potential problems that could come in.
Okay, thank you.
next we're on land transfer. Gina probably knows more about this than me.
Yes, currently, we are just the solicitor and made some amendments. Sent those to our development. We did have to produce another plan, because there was an element of land
Oh,
that
yes.
actually was owned by Pendle Borough Council, so we had to take that out, just a tiny little bit, so we did that, sent that across. So we're currently waiting for our to get back.
So we still haven't got access to them. Oh, sure. So that's why we can't speak. But we will.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
3 years time.
Yeah. The number 14, the access issues, I've gone through them. The only one that's got a bit of a question mark over is a guy at Cookhouse called Dean. They have a communal big metal gate that swings open that's unlocked by a padlock. For one reason or another, some allotment holders have problems with this padlock. I don't really know why. It didn't really get explained to me. But he's asked if he can have a coded padlock put on, and all allotment holders given a code instead. So I think I'll have to talk to the other holders, but let's put it through here first.
See any reason why not?
No, I don't really understand the problem, but it's a
Um,
Eugene issue that's come to me.
Okay, yeah,
Chair, there's an expense cost there. Would it be possible to say to them that yes, if you purchase the padlock and that the council be given the code?
I don't see why not.
You know, that way it doesn't cost us anything for them to do that, because we've already provided the padlock, which as far as we're concerned is fit for purpose. And if they want to replace that at their cost, and as I said, yeah, fine, as long as we have the access codes.
Yeah, it's fine. I can do that.
do we always provide the padlocks?
Yeah, Eugene's got a drawer with about 20 padlocks, so I've got about 20 next uses, but after that,
So whenever anybody gets to that,
yeah,
they
they get a key.
which we charge them for.
Yeah, unless we've got a spare set. Yeah, ones like Basil Street and Sutherland Street, there's loads of communal keys, but like your Carry Lanes, yeah, they pay for their own.
And then those ones say on Alkin coats, where they're more individual.
Yeah,
Do we usually provide locks for them? Or
I don't really know. The only one that's come available since I've been here is number 1, and Eugene paid for his own lock on that. So going forward,
so have we got a key?
yeah, with that we've got a spare. Yeah, yeah, drop one off.
Okay. Cooperative members. Yes, Bill would like to be a cooperative member. He's on holiday at the moment. Would anybody like to propose Bill as a cooperative member? Seconded, and we're all in agreement. He's a valuable member of
Yeah.
this committee. Right, so items for a future month agenda.
Got the livestock.
Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
I'm gonna get shot for this one. I believe that possibly in some dim and dusty dungeon somewhere in Town Hall at Nelson, there is an overall allotments policy that, as far as I'm aware, was last fully reviewed in about 18 something. Is it possible to find out if there is an allotments policy and this should be reviewed?
Well, why are we doing that when we've got our own allotment policy?
Because apparently we've got the allocations and stuff like that, but there is an overall policy that tells you what you can grow, what you can't grow, what, you know, various things that links in with the allotment site.
Oh, you want to look at the actual allotment act?
So it's the actual policy that was adopted by the council in 18 something and then amended in
Which
1922.
council?
Pendle Borough. It was originally adopted by Nelson Borough Council, Cornwall Borough Council. They had their own allotment policies, which were updated, I think, in 1922 or something else, and that has never been sort of looked at since.
What did we not base our allotment?
Yeah, yeah, I think with ours every year.
Yeah,
since that.
but saying the actual allotment policy of Pendle Council, to my knowledge, in the past has never been reviewed.
Does that really have any bearing on? this
If it's out
allotment?
of, yeah, because I don't think it reflects the modern times we're living in a lot on the use of allotments. I said before about the growing of and this and that, I think it really does need to be looked at the way that allotments are being used. Because I think if you look at the way it's written, you can put a lot of people off taking on an allotment. And I think we need to look
So
at
you
that,
want to look at our policy?
the overall policy. It's trying to encourage people to make sure that the policies we've got in place for allotment are suitable for 2023 and not 1823.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the Act of Parliament,
So there's an overall, I'm sure there was an overall based on that act.
okay?
Like we have like a clean air policy, we have a contaminated land policy, stuff like that, strategies, etc. We had an overriding allotments. I think it came under estates originally, which is now property services.
I'm a top. Yeah, I know that we've obviously had to base all the policy that Cone Allotments Committee has on the Act of Parliament. But I don't see how we need to look at the Pendle one. However, we can investigate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it needs to be, you know,
I
because
would think it's probably like.
And if you want to have a look at the policy itself that we have got and just see whether you want to compare to see whether you want to change anything for up-to-date language, then yeah, we can have a look at the policy that we've got.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else? We have the same ones that we always have, like updates. Yeah. Yeah, done. I know that in the past, we divided up the allotments for viewing, so that like you would always go and have a look at New Oxford Street if Leah went there, so that there was a councillor and an officer going, if you could. So you might want to think about that.
I would suggest the council.
Yes.
I would suggest that you don't give it all.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
We want-
Yeah, brilliant, that's good. Yeah, because sometimes we can all go together, we can go whenever you can. So would you be able to say when you're going and give a
Yeah,
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 email to
yeah,
people?
I've been to a lot of them already, but if there's any you want to go to particular again, I can do. Yeah,
So there's Basil Street and there was Sutherland
Basil,
Street.
Sutherland, River. They're probably the main three. Yeah, the other ones like Temple
And
Street and stuff. They're
New
just
Oxford.
and New Oxford. Yeah, 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 yeah. The rest are just fine. They're nice, looked after. So
Okay, then.
yeah,
Thank you very much. Well, I want to thank you for all the work that you've been putting in over the
Thank
last
you.
few, well, it's not been very long a time, just a couple of months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really do
Thanks.
appreciate it.
thank you. Yeah,
And appreciate it.
yeah. We always
Yeah, I
appreciate.
must say we are very.
Thanks.
A lot of work.
Yeah, yeah.
We doing. Next time.
Yes, date and time of next regular meeting. This is something that concerns me sometimes because the allotment committee meetings have sometimes been sidelined when there's been important business elsewhere, especially with budgets and finance. Yeah, I can understand that, but I think that if our meeting is cancelled, we should automatically have another one put in, rather than just say it's cancelled.
Are you still happy with four?
What do you think? Do you think we need to have? What?
I think it should be a lot more often.
I think there should be more.
I would
often.
propose every month,
No,
or
I
2 months,
I would say.
every 2 months, bi-monthly.
Bye, Mum. Yeah,
Bi-monthly.
Just while we get.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that would be, because I think there's always a danger when you get Cinderella committees, meeting every blue moon in a reactive manner, whereas by doing it bi-monthly, we can look at this in a proactive, far more progressive.
And then we can always change that if it's.
That's
So
fine.
obviously that day. Okay, we get to say.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We've got one item that we just need to close the stream.